So what I'm about to tell you is unbelievable, but I promise you, CBS News has verified this through their sources. Fox News has obtained leaked emails from the State Department. What I'm about to tell you, as disturbing as it is, it's true. So a few videos back, I talked about Glenn Beck's mission to rescue Afghan Christians. At the time, no one could fathom the idea that Biden would leave Americans behind. But we knew he was going to leave our Afghan friends and Afghan Christians to be slaughtered by the Taliban. So he raised like $30 million within a few days, and he's been sending these secret flights to rescue Americans and Afghan friends of ours. Well, today, Glenn Beck on the radio said yesterday they had 4 planes with over 1,000 Afghan friendlies and 19 Americans. Yeah, Americans were on the plane trying to escape from Afghanistan. They had already had the names before they picked them up. If you don't understand how this works, Glenn Beck raised like $30 million and he paid ex-military pilots, intel specialists, special forces guys. They know how to find people. They know how to rescue people. That's what they do. They're great at this. We're the best. So they had everyone's name. Everyone was vetted. Everybody was cleared for takeoff. All they needed was the State Department to give them an okay to land somewhere, because they got to land somewhere. The State Department wouldn't give them an okay. They said, can't we just land on, these people knew where American bases were. They're like, no, you can't land on an American base anywhere in the world. They even had Qatar offer that for them to go there, and the State Department said, no, we're not going to authorize that for whatever reason. And then they're sitting there for hours and hours and hours. What does the State Department do? They contact the Taliban and let them know what's going on, and they give them the list of all the names of every American and Afghan on the plane. I'm not making this up. They even asked Jen Psaki, and she said, well, we don't own the airspace. We got to get approval from the Taliban. We're freaking America. We own whatever airspace we want to own. If our people are in trouble, we own that place. But I'm getting off track. I'm going to try and stay calm. The Taliban got everybody off the plane, and according to Glenn Beck, they all left, and they were the people, their guides, their escorts, whatever, got them to safe houses where they're safe for now. But the Taliban know where they're at. The Taliban know their names, and they're stranded again. He left them behind again. Biden left them behind again. Now, there's a few theories why he did this. One is because if you've seen the news a couple of days ago, some ex-military guys rescued 4 Americans out of there. And when the State Department tried to take some credit, they said the State Department is full of crap. They didn't help us at all. They made it harder for us. So maybe the State Department took it personal, but that's one theory. We all warned before Biden was elected that he owed a huge debt to China. His son got that $1.5 billion deal from China. Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State who runs the State Department, has millions of dollars invested in China. All these people in the Biden administration are very close to China. And you would say, what does China have to do with it? Well, if you look at a map, in between China, which needs oil, and Iran, which needs to sell oil, there's Afghanistan. Very strategic. Already China recognized the Taliban as a legitimate government. Already Taliban said that China is their number 1 partner. So China has a lot to do with Afghanistan. But I don't think it's even that deep. Biden and Blinken can pay off China with jobs. They're already sending jobs back to China. I don't think it's that. I think it's very simple. We have no way of defending that plane. So all the Taliban had to do is pick up the phone and say, hey, that plane takes off, we blow it out of the air. Remember, we left them the best military equipment in the world. And while our military was still there, they aimed, according to the news, it wasn't the Taliban. The Taliban's our friends now. It was ISIS aimed a couple surface-to-air missiles to try to take the airplane out. But our military had missiles to take those missiles out. Well, our military's not there anymore. We don't have any anti-missile launchers. So the Taliban has our surface-to-air missiles. They can put one on their shoulder and take out one plane just like that and then take out the next plane. So that's what I'm thinking is going on here. They called Biden and said, listen, these planes take off, we're blowing them up. We want the names of everybody on that plane. So he was forced to give the names. They took them off. And now, what do the Taliban has? They have an even better situation for themselves and a worse situation for us than the Iran hostage situation. Remember when we had a weak president, Jimmy Carter? Iran took 50 Americans and held them hostage till we got a strong president, Ronald Reagan, which they were afraid of, and they released them. This is what happens when you have a weak leader. I said that quote a few weeks back. I think it was Alexander the Great, where he said he'd rather face an army of lions whose leader was a sheep than an army of sheep whose leader was a lion. Our leaders, we have weak leaders. Biden is weak. All these men he has, they're all bureaucrats. I mean, everybody's wondering it's such a mess. This is the worst presidency in the history of America. How did this happen? Well, you got used to 4 years of Trump who got things done. And if you look at all his appointments, there were people that got things done in the real world. Obama hired a bunch of egghead professors. Biden took it one step worse and hired egghead professors that became bureaucrats and been bureaucrats their whole life. So you have all these egghead bureaucrats who've never done anything for real. All they have is theories, and this country is going to hell in a handbasket quick because of these people. And Biden, I've watched him my whole life, and I know he's a liar. I know he's a corrupt politician, but he's never been this slow. He's always been pretty quick. He's not running the show. And according to people that I've watched for years, that I could trust that their information is always dead on, it's former President Obama and Susan Rice running the shows. They're running the show. They're pulling his strings. And these guys are both the biggest bureaucrat eggheads in the world. So you have eggheads running an operation in Afghanistan when you need warriors. And the warriors are being held back, and the Taliban is laughing. The Taliban would cower in fear if he was face to face with a United States Marine. But he laughs at their commander-in-chief. They laugh at us. We cannot forget how we got here. I remember months ago, Colonel Alan West pleading on the radio, call your congressman, I'm trying to get our Afghan interpreters out. These guys helped us for 20 years. They're going to get slaughtered. They will be beheaded once the Taliban takes over. We've got to get them out. We were all worried about that. There were private companies trying to figure out ways to get these guys out. Never in a million years did we worry that he would leave Americans behind. I was like, no, he can't be leaving Americans behind. And even George Stephanopoulos asked him straight up, like 2 weeks before he left Americans out, will you leave Americans behind? He's like, no. So he's saying, the military won't leave until we have every American out. And he's like, yes. And then that day came, I heard on the radio, the last flight left. And I'm like, wait a minute. I think there's still some Americans left. So I put on the TV, and Joe Biden said, it's been a success. This is the most successful evacuation ever. We got 90% of the Americans out. I just couldn't contain myself. I'm like, this guy just left 10% of the Americans behind, and he's calling it a success. I was in the military. You leave no man behind. Leaving one man behind is a failed mission. This guy's bragging that he only left 10%. And then they're trying to say it's 100 to 200, but all the experts on the ground that are actually rescuing the people are saying it's more like 500 to 1,000 Americans left there. That day when I seen Joe Biden bragging that he only left 10% of the Americans behind enemy lines with the most vicious savages that we've ever faced, I realized Joe Biden is not only the worst American president in history, he's the worst American in history. This man needs to be court-martialed for treason. This man is a disgrace. And we have to do everything we can to remove this man from office. I know his vice president ain't much better, but the Democrat Party will be weaker because of this, and they won't be able to do any more nonsense, Lord willing. We got to focus on the problem at hand. It's Biden. And then we can focus on the next pile, Kamala. But guys, even the most liberal Democrat Senator Blumenthal is as angry as I am. He was blowing up the White House phones, and you got to give these guys clearance to go. Democrats and Republicans are furious. This is a bipartisan issue. This is an American issue. This is a freedom issue. This is a humanitarian issue. This cold-hearted president is leaving Americans behind. And if you're surprised, you shouldn't be, because this president got to where he is by killing babies, by allowing the killing of unborn babies. And you say, what's the connection? The connection is they have no value for life, whether in the womb or out of the womb. This president has no value. He values no life. So if you are buying or selling real estate, go to realestateforlife.org and don't give these woke companies a penny of your money anymore. And don't vote for these pro-choice Democrats, because you see their core. If they can't even love an unborn child they can't see, how are they going to love a child they can see? And these are children left behind in Afghanistan. Children, women and children. And all the women are going to be treated like slaves, literally slaves. You know, we regret the great sin of America, our greatest sin, our original sin of slavery. Well, we just imposed that kind of slavery on the Afghan people and any Americans we left behind. I pray to God I'm wrong, that these Americans will get out. Maybe they're just going to hustle Biden for billions of dollars. Who knows? But I think they're going to hold him, and it's going to be their leverage. And they're going to laugh at him that they have Americans. And I hope we don't see like we've seen right after 9/11, where they start beheading these people on Twitter, since Taliban still has a Twitter feed. Yeah, Taliban wasn't banned from Twitter, but Trump is banned from Twitter. Just think about that for a second. It's good against evil. This is what's going down. So pray for our country and act. You know, if you can donate money to Glenn Beck's organization, it's called Mercury One, the Nazarene Fund, and there's others. There's dozens of others. I just don't know their names offhand. I just know his because his is the biggest, you know. But they're all doing great works. There's a lot of patriotic American ex-veterans, wealthy people that are just donating a ton of money, average people donating what they can. Biden and our government let Americans down, but the rest of us need to come together. We need to rescue these people. We can't leave them there. Leave no man behind. That's our creed. God bless and stay Catholic.